Hello and welcome to another episode of Connecting Live with me, your host, Lydia. We are about to be joined by one undefeated professional heavyweight. Mr. FABIO WARDLEY will be joining us in just a moment. Don't forget that if you've got any questions for Fabio, make sure to put them into the question box and I will ask them at the end of the interview if they're good. If they're shite, I won't. Let's see where he is. Okay, Fabio, you should have this. It should let you connect. Hopefully. Hi!
Hi.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
Good to see you.
You too. How have you been? Okay.
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you feeling?
Yeah, good. Same. No different. Not much has changed.
Well, thank you very much for your time. As always, I know I always get you to do a post-fight interview, like just after you fight. And, you know, you're on your holidays. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Good.
So let's do what we always do, because everyone always loves hearing you talk through the fight camp, obviously your experience being at not only your own fight camp, but at fight camp, Matchroom's fight camp. So let's do that, and then we'll do the fun bit and ask some questions that all the fans want to hear or ask at the end.
Yeah.
So how was this camp this time round?
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, it was all right. It was there was a few ups and downs in this kind of camp. A few things went wrong. It was a lot of kind of just hurdles we had to get over. Just a lot of situations really in the whole camp that we just kind of had to keep pushing through. Like it wasn't the best of camps, but sometimes you just need to grind through these kind of things. You just need to get to the finish line, and I think that was mainly what this camp was about for me, was just pushing past all the little problems that I'd had all through and on the way and stuff, and just get to the finish line. So thankfully I got there with my body intact, and we made it through, and obviously survived and everything. So yeah, it was a rough one, but it's good. Like, you need to go through those kind of things. It's not always going to be plain sailing. It's not always going to be happy days. Sometimes you need to kind of grit through those kind of rough patches, and then realizing yourself that you can do them. So when they come around for a second time, third time, or whatever, that it's doable and you've done it. So yeah, we ticked that one off. Like I say, it wasn't the best of camps, but we got through it, got the job done, and got the win.
So obviously you say it wasn't the best camp. Did anything, was it the fight, the volume of the fight, the fact that you were defending your title, the fact that you'd wanted this fight with Nick Webb for so long, and there was a little bit of, back and forth between the two of you, like maybe we haven't seen that in you before with other opponents. You're a little bit more vocal with Nick. Did that contribute to, how the fight camp, the not necessarily the pressures, but just how your mind was kind of working through this fight camp?
Not so much. It wasn't all of those really. There was just things going wrong. It's just things you can't really, just things that go wrong in camp. Like, you get injuries and stuff doesn't work out. Like you can see here with my nose, I got a couple of weeks away from the fight, which means I couldn't spar and things like that. So there was just a bunch of kind of problems piling on each other. It just seemed like week after week there was a new issue which we kind of had to sort and get through and power through. And I think the whole, me being slightly more aggressive in my kind of build up to this fight and stuff, if anything, it gave me more of a fight to get to the end, because I've said all that, and I'm not one to say something and not back it up. So if I paint myself into that corner, like, I'm gonna have to get to the end with it. So that kind of, if anything, it was almost added motivation for me.
Did you notice a difference in, like, we'll say, your fans or the people who follow your career? Did you notice that their response to you this time around was a little bit different? Because, as I say, seeing you be that vocal, we're not really that used to you being like that. You're usually very, subdued and relaxed and calm, but we kind of saw a different side of you this time.
Yeah, it was a funny one, because I'd get a lot of people say, like, oh, this is different, we're not seeing this in them. And people kind of thought that Nick was the one to bring that out of me. And I guess partly, but it was only more so out of frustration that I'd been wanting this fight for a while. Not off of anything Nick had said or anything in the build-up. That doesn't faze me at all. I decided to go a different route with it to get him to the ring. That was my decision. So I decided that that's what I had to do to make him kind of get there. And overall it worked. And some of my kind of supporters, fan base or whatever, they enjoyed that side of me, and others were a little bit kind of raised eyes at it. But it is what it is. it swings around us. You can't please everyone, and I was just doing my job at the end of the day just to get the fight done.
How difficult was it to not remain quiet? But I always find it so interesting, like during fight camp, when the fight is building and the promoters are selling the fight and each fighter is having the back and forth, and you know, you are confident in your ability, you know what you're going to do, but yet you have somebody on the other side that's, you know, countering that and saying you're not going to do that, you know, and I'm going to do this to you. Like, how is that? It's such a kind of a weird concept for people who don't fight to be able to understand. So how is it for you in that situation when you have someone saying, I'm going to knock you out, and you're saying, no, I'm going to knock you out?
Yeah, it's a funny one, but to me, I don't take it personally. I don't take anything anyone ever says in the build up or anything like that personally at all, because we're just doing our jobs at the end of the day. And if anything, I want you to have that self-belief in yourself. I want you to think that you're going to come through and you're going to do all the things you say you're going to do, because one, it makes for a good fight, and two, then that way I get all the credit. I can say, well, you said all of this, and now look, turns around and I've still won and I've still come through. So I don't mind it. It gives me more of a fuel to go with. But it never gets to me. I never take it personally and stuff. Like I understand we all have to do our own little bits to G ourselves up or get ourselves in them worked up for the fight or wherever it takes. I don't mind it. I just see it as it's all part of the job.
Well, it is interesting, right? That like it's probably an indicator that you're in the right job and that fighters are in the right job, that you're able to deal with that. Because I think for most people, you know, if someone was to say, well, I'm going to knock you out, they go, oh shit, maybe they are. Oh, you know, what if they do? So it's always a good indicator that fighters like have that mental strength.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. Like, I think it, like, 'cause it happens in pretty every walk of life. There's competition all through life, but it just gets that little bit more personal, I think, fun when someone says, I'm physically going to hurt you. And then, like, if you worked in any other job and you were sat next to your mate in an office cubicle and you said, oh, I'm going to get more sales than you this week or something, that's a bit of friendly banter and you wouldn't mind at all. But then if they're sat next to you saying, I'm going to punch you, you're going to go, hang on, wait, what's going on? So once you add, like, the physical element into it, it gets a bit much. But when you're in boxing, you're just used to it.
Absolutely. So you were back at fight camp. You had the pleasure last year of being on the first fight camp as well. So how did it differ this time around? Was it the same setup, where you know, was it kind of like familiar territory for you?
Yeah, it was familiar territory. A lot of it was the same. There was a few differences this time around, because when I did it last year, that was the first show back, kind of slowly coming out of the pandemic, and everyone was a bit kind of wary of the rules. We didn't know what we could do. We didn't know what we couldn't do, and everyone, and not just the fighters, but everyone, Matchroom, the whole, everyone involved was just kind of figuring it out as we went along. And this time around, there was more freedoms allowed, so you're allowed to leave the bubble, come back, do whatever. There was no quarantine period inside the bubble, so you just test when you arrive, and then you can crack on and do whatever you need to do. So there was a lot more freedoms, which is good, because those times in the bubble really kind of throw you out of your rhythm a bit. Those first couple, when you're used to doing your usual routines of you arrive at the hotel whenever before the fight, or you go on like your team walks, or you do this or you do that, and there's little things, a little kind of just like ritual habits that you would go through in the build up to a fight, which are kind of all thrown out of whack now, because you just have to stay inside these kind of four walls of the hotel. So this time we're allowed a lot more freedom, could go here, there and everywhere, do whatever you needed to do. So it just felt normal, really. It was the first one back that felt like a bit kind of the old days, where you could just do whatever and just have a good time with it. But yeah, it was great. Fight camp's always fun as well, but still with that mixed element of all the fighters were in the kind of the same hotel, same bubble and stuff. So there was a few times where I brushed shoulders with Nick and we walked past and said hello and whatever else, but nothing too fiery kicked off.
So obviously as well, you had your stablemate Alan Babich was on the card as well, and I think everyone was really excited to see Dillian show up as well. I don't think everyone thought that he was going to show up, so that was really good. How was it for you to obviously be on a card with your good friend and your stablemate Alan, and then also, you know, have your manager be in attendance as well?
Yeah, no, it was great. It's great to have the support of the team there. Obviously, Dill making the trip back from Portugal to come and watch not just me, but Alan as well, and support the guys that he manages. I think that shows kind of how much of a vested interest he has in us, that he's not just kind of watch him from the sidelines and wants us to mosey on and do whatever. He really is there. He came to the change rooms of mine and Babich as well, and just checked in us, made sure everything was all good. So yeah, it was great to see him, because I haven't seen him for ages either. So it was nice to catch up with him, even though he did turn up in a stupid hat, but whatever.
I actually really liked the hat.
Yeah, of course
I thought
you
the
did.
hat. I thought the hat was lovely. I thought it was very cool, actually.
No, not at all.
Would wear.
I had words with him. I had words with him about that and what is going on there. But yeah, and then with Alan as well, having Babich there is always great. I think I've spent the last, I think the last like 3 or 4 times I thought he's been there. So it's a bit of a thing for us now that we're always together on these kind of fight nights. And even in Gibraltar, when he wasn't fighting, he flew out and he came out and he was there for the whole journey and the whole trip and everything. So me and him have been side by side, just kind of arm in arm for the past 3 or 4 fights of our own of each. So we're in that routine of being next to each other, of geeing each other up, getting each other ready for our fights, and just supporting each other. So it's great in these kind of high pressure environments to have such a strong support system around you.
How annoying is it that people still keep asking, are you going to fight Alan Babich?
Yeah, I know.
Why is it?
I guess it's flattering in the sense that they think we're both good fighters and they want to see us go at it, and they think it'd be intriguing and they think it'd be an interesting fight. But it's like the public's entitled to their own views of what they want to do and who they want to put together. But like I say, me and Babich have both established many times that it's never going to happen. Like there's no need. There's no, as much as we probably agree as well that it'd be a great fight. But there's no need. Like there's so many other heavyweights out there. There's so many other fights for each of us out there. Why do we need to go towards each other? We're not on a direct path. We're not hunting for the same belts right now either. So there's no need.
Absolutely. So obviously, let's talk about the stoppage, first round stoppage. I think anyone who was backing you to win this fight and backing you to win, I think the common consensus was 4 or 5 rounds. You know, that it was going to be in the first half of the fight. Obviously, first rounds. I don't think a lot of people saw that coming. So was that part of the plan, take him out in the first round, or was there a little bit more of a strategy in place?
Well, there was a strategy in place. Me and the team had put together a strategy, a plan. And after about a minute in there, I just threw it out the window. And you know what? Actually, let's forget this. Let's go plan B and see how this works out. We did kind of have 2 plans. We had one plan where we were going to box and move for a few rounds, wear him through, pick your spots, and then turn it on in kind of rounds 3 to 5, maybe even 6 in that area. Push through there. That was initially the plan. But I got in the ring and, like I've always said in the past as well, I much prefer to make decisions on the fly in the moment and how they feel, and you get the real kind of interest. What's that funny?
Go on.
Why?
No, go on. I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, there you. Go on.
So I got into the ring, and like the first minute or so went by, minute and a half, whatever, and Nick came real piling out. He came on really full, was really trying to stick it on me and stuff. And I was in there and I was just thinking, he's building up a head of steam here. And if I felt like that if I didn't meet fire with fire, he would kind of gain too much confidence and almost try and run away with it. And it'd be hard for me to grab it back from him in a slow kind of controlled and pace of picking and moving. So I just made the decision on the fly after about a minute or two of just to be like, okay, we need to meet him here and I need to take him down a few pegs and level him through. So I only really planned to let off maybe 2 or 3 good combos, nice, strong, quick and powerful, just to settle him back through and kind of even the level out. But a couple of those shots landed clean and knocked his head back a few times, and I noticed that, and I just decided to kind of keep my foot on the gas and keep pressing him back, keep pressing him into a corner, and work through from there, and then we got him out.
Were you surprised that, you know, after you get that win, when does it kind of, are you still in the ring when you realize what you've just done? You know, does that sound like a stupid question, but like when does it finally hit you where you're like, oh, I just won that fight and I just stopped him within the first round? Like all of this, like the camp, all of the build up, everything that went wrong, you know, like the plan that was in place, it's all just, it's done now.
Yeah. It doesn't, I know exactly what you mean. It doesn't hit me straight away in the ring because I'm still doing everything. I'm still waiting for the ref to announce it, and then I've got to go do an interview, and then I've got to do this after and see the doctor and stuff. And then it only settles in once all them kind of little bits are done, maybe about 20 minutes or so later. And then I went back into my changing room and I literally just laid on the floor for like 10 minutes. And I was just like a big sigh of like, oh, just out, done. And I just laid there and just chilled out for like 10 minutes, literally just flat on my back on the floor. And then that was really kind of when I processed it and took it all in and was like, okay, cool, you've done it, well done. Like, tick that one off. And then got up and cracked on with the rest of the evening.
You know, there seems to be, and a few people on social media have picked up on it, that there seems to be a point in your fights right before you get a stoppage where you can physically see it in your face that something switches. And that's when you kind of go up a gear, or you can see that in your mind. It's like, okay, enough of this. Like, I'm just going to get this person out of here. Is it as it seems to us watching you in that fight? Like, is it the same for you in your mind? Does that happen? You're like, right, enough of this. Let's just end this here.
I guess, kind of. I was thinking, like, one of my team said they saw a comment of, like, someone said, FABIO WARDLEY's like one of them old school TVs that doesn't work until you bang it on the head a few times. And I was in bits because that's pretty accurate, to be honest, if you're going off the base of my last couple of fights or so.
That's a good one.
But yeah, like, don't get me wrong, I sometimes I can start a bit slow. Sometimes I come out of the gate a bit slow, and it's not the best trait at all to have to take one or two to kind of wake me up. But sometimes that does happen, and there is a bit of a switch, where I just go, right, well, like, what are we doing here? I'll have a little mini conversation with myself in my head, like, are we here to mess around? Are we here to play around? Or are we here to, like, get involved and do this properly? And then so you say the switch kind of happens, and I'll kick on.
Good stuff. Okay, well, we're going to go to the question box and see what everyone wants to ask. So prepare yourself. Okay, so this is from Double 2020. Fabio, who realistically would you like to box next? Are you ready for the British title?
Yeah, I believe I'm ready for the British title. In terms of who, like, I'm not really one to name names in particular. Obviously, the most obvious name that gets banded around for me in the British title is Nathan Gorman, but that's purely out of just him being the most obvious candidate and the most kind of, if you were to look through the division and kind of say who are the next two in line, you'd pick us. So I think that's just the most obvious option. There are a few complications that come with that as well, but it would be the most obvious,
Yeah. I know that Dillian had said in a post-fight interview that he doesn't know whether Ricky Hatton and Nathan would actually take that fight. So I think he put out a tweet as well, though, right? That, you know, he was like, I'm ready for that fight.
Yeah,
so
I think he said he would as well.
Fight.
I think he said he would. Like, I know Nathan. I spent quite a bit of time with him. I'm pretty sure he would take it as well. I don't think he'd have too much issue with that at all.
Okay. There's another question here from JDogs94, and he said, "Seems Fabio at Epic Studios in Norwich years back. He's come a long way. Would love to see him fight Cash Ali." So there's a few mentions of Cash Ali in here. Yeah,
like another all right fight. I think I kind of put Cash and Nick in the same kind of bracket to me, really. I see as I've kind of stepped that stone, really. I think I'm kind of on to something new. I'm moving forward. I think I've done my kind of return. I went like for the Eric Molina, that was a different kind of level, and then I've done my little kind of step back into domestic again. But I do want to have some good domestic fights, but not like the level of kind of Cash.
Good stuff. This is from SSarah04, and they've asked, "How was your time in Gibraltar when you were on your holidays?"
Yeah, good. It was good for the most part. The only downside to it was we wasn't allowed to leave the yacht. No, it's not like I was on a little rubber dinghy and a boat or anything. I was on a 5-star kind of yacht boat thing. So it was quite nice. But when you go to a new country and it's such a nice place, you want to kind of get out a bit and see around. But I wasn't able to do all that. But Gibraltar was lovely.
Good stuff. There's a couple of comments from professional fighter Brad Ray.
Here we go.
Only one of them is...
Oh, I should have worn his top.
Well, it's funny you said that, because he said, "Fabio, I haven't taken my FABIO WARDLEY hoodie off for at least 3 weeks now." That's the only one that I can call out. the rest of them, unfortunately, Bradley, I can't actually repeat them.
No, shout out to Bradley.
This is a good question from PG Tips, and a lot of people have asked this as well. I would like to know Fabio's thoughts on a potential bout between Dave Allen and Alan Babich.
Yeah, that'd be good. I think it'd be a good fight. I know Dave's proven in the past that he's very durable. And Babich is obviously needs to be tested a bit more in terms of going into those later rounds and stuff. So I think Dave would be kind of the ideal kind of match for that. Someone who's tough and rugged, who can definitely take a punch. And then with Babich, who just doesn't stop throwing punches. I think I saw a stat that he threw about 500 punches.
Yeah.
In his most recent fight as well. So like, I think it'd be a good fight as long as obviously Dave's up for it properly, as long as he trains properly, has his right frame of mind on. Yeah, I think it'd be a good fight.
Very good stuff. Dave Allen was very complimentary about you this weekend as well. Actually, he said you were a very good. Yes, he said you were a very good fighter.
Cheers, Dave. Thanks very much, mate.
There's a question here from Sarah Richardson. She said, really enjoying this interview. Fabio, you said you had a difficult fight camp. Who are the people in your team that you go to when you're going through something like that? Why are you laughing? That's a really good question.
Yeah, no, it is a really good question. Apologies for laughing.
Why are you laughing?
Don't worry. Who are the people I go to? Well, the thing is, I'm lucky in the sense that I've got my team around me are not just like my boxing team. They are my friends. Well, not even friends. They're like family to me. Like there's nothing they don't know about me. There's nothing hidden about my life or anything I've done or anything I do from them at all. There were points in that camp where my team literally like sat me down and said, maybe we should skip this one. Maybe we should pull this one. Like, I know this is going on and you've got that going on and this isn't right and that's not right. There were points where they literally sat me and said, maybe we should just sit this one out, like rest, sort yourself out, do what you got to do. And but even before that chat, they said, look, we know you're not going to listen, but we want to at least have it on record kind of thing that we told you. So yeah, I'm just lucky to have like my coach with me, Robert Hodgins, my PA, Matt Brennan, who just kind of organises a lot of my life for me. And my just a good friend and my old S&C coach as well, Phil Day, who's kind of my level head. He's my pointer for me in terms of like sometimes when I'm a bit kind of not off the rails, but just things aren't falling into place, he can really kind of level me and bring me through. So there's them and a few others as well, a few other special people who kind of just look out for you in those times of when you're not feeling 100% yourself.
Good stuff. Good answer. I'm glad we finally got there in the end with that good answer. So another question here, and it's a good one. It's from Matt Darnell, I think it is. And he said, I figure this is like a hypothetical thing, right? It's not a literal thing. You're offered a chance at the heavyweight world title. It's for 20 million, but you have to fight Dillian Whyte.
That's fine. I'll do it. I'll take my 20 mil and I'll roll over in the first round. What are you on about? Dill gets his belt and I get my 20 mil. No worries. See you later. We're both happy.
That was not the answer we expected. Not at all. All right, good answer. Right. Let me have a look. Let's go through these again. There's loads of, it's hard to see the questions because there's a lot of comments being like, you know, really enjoyed your fight.
Fabio's so great. Fabio's the best.
Wonderful.
Fabio's
I know.
Unreal. Oh my God, just get Fabio on every week. Just
I know you
so much
hate
praise.
hearing this because you're so, humble and shy. You know, and you're just like so egoless.
No, I'm such a man of the people. It's unreal.
Here's a good question. It's from Thomas Thon, and he's asked, is Joe Joyce on Fabio's mind for the near future?
Not for the near future, no. Me and Joe are on very, very different trajectories. He's fringe world level at the moment, and I'm only fringe British level or British level, however you want to look at it. The gap between us is quite large, and I don't think Joe would ever look my way either in terms of fighting me or anything like that. I wouldn't do him no justice. He wouldn't get much credit for it or anything like that. So no, he's not.
Good stuff. This is from David Gray, and he's asked, hi Fabio, really big fan, love the heavyweight division. Just been announced Solomon Dakers versus Sokolowski. Is that how we say Sokolowski? Yeah. Is that how we say his surname? What are your opinions on this fight?
Yeah, good fight. Yeah, real good fight. Like the thing is with Sokolowski, his record is extremely deceiving. Mm-hmm. Like he's taken on some of the best.
Is that a risky fight for Solomon to take that so quick? Like, I mean, it's
I wouldn't say it's risky for Solomon because he has a lot of class. Don't get me wrong, Camille was tough and he's come forward and he's pretty aggressive and he has kind of chopped a few heads of the new up and comers and things. He has got a bit of a reputation to do that, but I think Sol's he's too slick. He's too well versed in boxing to get caught out by something kind of that Sokolowski may have up his sleeve. But it's definitely a good fight at this point. This is still early stage of his career. He'll get quite a few rounds out of him. He'll be able to find the target on him quite easily as well, so you'll be able to get a good shots off. He can look quite good doing it. And if he stops him, it looks good because no one really stops Sokolowski. So if you do, it looks good, you do it. And if you don't really kind of lose too much either because people know in boxing how tough he is as well.
Perfect. Good answer. Right, last question, and then I'll let you go because I know you're still on your holidays. But this is from Chris Duerden, and he's asked, how does Fabio keep so measured? Well, I think that might mean, like, how do you keep so balanced? I think it might be in, what's that word when you're not English? When you don't speak English.
What are you talking about? What do you mean I don't speak English? Measured?
No, you wouldn't really say that. I think he means balanced or measured. I've never heard someone say that before. How do you keep so measured?
You made me measured in the sense of like, why am I like so like?
Just answer the question.
What? Read it again.
Okay, it's from Chris Duerden, and he's asked, how does Fabio keep so measured?
I think he means like, yeah, nah. I don't, Chris, I'm sorry, man. I got
Chris, mate. I actually think he means balanced by that. I'm using my intuition and I'm saying balanced.
Balanced in what sense?
Oh Jesus, Fabio! Just how are you so balanced? You come across quite balanced. How do you manage to do it?
I think I've always been a very laid back person.
Yes.
So I've always been very chilled. I've never been one to go too much of one way or the other. So I never kind of let the highs get too high or the lows get too low kind of thing. I try and stay in the middle of everything. But that also, again, comes back to me having the kind of team that I have around with me is that they don't let me go too far one way or the other. Like, they won't let me get too far ahead of myself because they're more than happy to tell me about myself and bring me back down to earth. And in the same way, the other way around, if I'm having a not so good day, they're quick to kind of bring me back through and bring me back up. So I think things like that, I think you have to realise quite early on in life that like you can't go through it alone. You can't do a lot. Like they say, boxing's a lonely sport, and don't get me wrong, sometimes it can be, but I think it's eased by the kind of people that you have around you. I think you have to realise early on that, like I say, you can't do it alone. You have to have people with you and the right people as well to kind of help you through on different paths.
I agree. That's very wise. A lot of wisdom there, Fabio Wardley.
So much wisdom.
So much wisdom. So wise. Okay, thank you so much. That's it. We'll wrap. Actually, they'll give me a lot of grief if I don't ask you this.
I've got time. We can do.
No, it's okay. I don't want to keep. I know you're only saying that because you're only being polite, but loads of people are asking about when we're going to see you again. But I mean, you've just fought. I hate asking it because I'm literally like, they just fought. They don't know. But lots asking, when are we going to see you out again? And lots asking if you're going to be on this Liverpool card with Anthony Fowler and Liam Smith.
No.
Too soon?
Way too soon. Mm-hmm. I am tired. I need a lay down. But no, I may squeeze one more in before the end of the year. If I do fight again this year, it will be at the back end of the year. It won't be any time in the near future. If I do fight again this year, it'll be, like I say, kind of November, December time.
Okay.
If not, we'll just go fresh next year.
Great stuff. Okay, well, actually, one more question. I'm back asking my favorite question. It's the last one that I do, right? So everyone that's sending questions in, sorry, my question's getting trumped here. One thing that you wish you were never asked. No, that's not what I asked. What is it? It's
Jesus Christ. Do you know how to do your job?
It's the one thing that you wish you were asked in an interview, and the one thing that you are sick of being asked in an interview. Again, let me just stress that if you say anything that I've asked you in this interview, you'll be getting banned. So one thing that you wish people would ask you in interviews, and one thing that you
in interviews or just in life?
No, in interviews, because the last time I asked you this, you insulted every single person who asks you how's training going. I don't know if you can remember that, but I asked you this question before and you said, oh, the one thing that really annoys me is when people ask me how my training is going. And you were like as if it's not going well. You know, like as if I'm going to go back to the gym and be like, oh, I didn't do a good session. Now that you said that, I'm going to head back and do it again. It's totally,
because it's true.
Disconnected every fan that you've ever had. They're just like,
it is true. That's the thing. It's true. It's like,
so,
no one ever, like, you can even look at my interviews. Like, no one will ever say if they have a bad camp. So in these interviews and stuff, no boxer is ever going to go, you know what? Yeah, I've had I'm 2 weeks from a fight, but I've had a really bad camp, to be honest with you. No one's going to do that. So it's just like, it's a moot point. It doesn't mean anything.
Right. Well, just in interviews, in media work, in your job, you can't remember the question now, can you?
Yeah, no, I can.
One thing that you wish you were asked about, and one thing that you wish people would stop asking you about.
I wish people would stop asking me. The one I said before is my only one, really. I don't mind. Like, the other stuff, I don't mind. I don't really care. But, like, how's camp is like, yeah, that's fine. Like, whatever. It doesn't matter. Because I'm not, even if it was bad, I'm not going to tell you. So, like, what are we doing? One thing I want interviewers to ask me more.
Or one thing that you would be like, why do they never ask me about that? I'd like to talk about that.
I don't know. What would I like to talk about? I don't know. Hobbies outside of boxing, maybe?
Do you have hobbies outside of boxing?
Not really. Paddleboarding?
Yes, champion paddleboarder.
I'm a paddleboarder, and I'm slowly introducing.
You only fall off like 10 times? Down to 10 times? That's a lie.
That is an absolute lie.
I don't know. I'm just assuming.
I'm a good level paddleboarder now, and I'm slowly introducing different members of my family into it to enjoy them as when they fall off.
I'm wondering if you were only average or less than average, bad at paddleboarding, would you actually admit it on this interview?
No, of course not.
Well, unfortunately, we can't trust your judgment then on saying that you're good at it. Okay, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Congratulations, 12-0, undefeated. Woo! Thank you. We will do this again, 13-0.
Yes, most definitely.
We will keep with our ritual, as it were.
Our post-fight ritual.
Post-fight ritual. Maybe this is like why you win.
Yeah, take all the credit. That's fine. Yeah. No worries. Have it. No, have it. It's yours. Have it. Keep it. You should have that. It's all yours.
I'm comfortable with it. Okay. Thank you very much, FABIO WARDLEY. Appreciate your time. Congratulations again, and we will talk to you very soon.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Have a good day. Bye.
You too.
See you later.